Bitcoin. A simple explanation. Part 1. How does Bitcoin work? This video will try to explain Bitcoin using words and examples, which are easy to understand. To achieve this, the explanation may be very slightly inaccurate in some places. However, this will make it easier to understand. By the end of this video, you will hopefully have a better understanding of Bitcoin. Part 1.1. Bitcoin public addresses. The first basic part of Bitcoin, which needs to be understood, is what Bitcoin public addresses are, how they are created, and how they work together with Bitcoin private keys. A Bitcoin public address is basically like a bank account number which holds people's Bitcoins. An example of what it may look like is 16 lowercase e lowercase r 32 lowercase q capital Q lowercase e 1 capital X, and so on. A real Bitcoin public address, like the one shown above, is made up of capital and lowercase letters, as well as numbers that are arranged in a specific way. In our simple explanation, I will instead give an example where 10 numbers are used to represent a Bitcoin public address. So our example Bitcoin public address looks like the above. 81049407884. In order to receive Bitcoins, you need to have a Bitcoin public address, which the Bitcoin computer wallet program has created. This is the thing you give to other people for them to send you the Bitcoins. So, how are Bitcoin public addresses created? Part 1.2. Bitcoin private keys. A Bitcoin public address is always created using a Bitcoin private key. An example of what a Bitcoin private key may look like is capital L for lowercase I capital L lowercase h capital J lowercase z capital U, and so on. A real Bitcoin private key, like the one shown above, is made up of capital and lowercase letters, as well as numbers that are arranged in a specific way. In our explanation, I will instead give an example where 20 numbers are used to represent a Bitcoin private key. So our example Bitcoin private key looks like the above. 165042991439553. To create a Bitcoin private key, you would use a Bitcoin computer wallet program. This Bitcoin private key is like a password to your Bitcoin public address that lets you send the Bitcoins from the Bitcoin public address you currently own to another person's Bitcoin public address. So, how are Bitcoin private keys created? This is where the magic starts. All Bitcoin private keys start as a very large and very random number that is created by the Bitcoin computer wallet program. This random number might be between 100 to 1,000 numbers long or longer. Think of a number so large that it is impossible for anyone or anything to guess this number. Imagine the entire universe was filled with computers placed side by side, all of them turned on, and all of them repeatedly trying to guess this number for all time and still failing. This is more or less the number that your computer creates. The computer program you use will then convert this random number to a Bitcoin private key. To a computer, all data is numbers represented by zeros and ones. So it can be seen that a computer program can easily convert any random number to a Bitcoin private key with the correct formatting or structure. The main thing to understand is that the Bitcoin private key is in fact a completely random set of characters and numbers. No one else on the planet knows the Bitcoin private key except you, because you created it randomly on your computer. If you created the Bitcoin private key and only you know it, then this means you own the Bitcoin private key. Note, in reality, security is a massive issue with the creation of Bitcoin private keys due to the risk of this data being stolen and spied on. So many people, including beginners, let reputable cryptocurrency exchanges handle the storage and creation of their Bitcoin private keys for them. So how is the Bitcoin private key converted to the Bitcoin public address? The Bitcoin computer wallet program does this by using an exact formula known as a SHA-256, hashed together with other steps. The formula used is one way, meaning that once the Bitcoin public address is created, no one can use the Bitcoin public address to work out what the private key was. And the formula is always the same and always gets the same result for the same original character string. In cryptography and in Bitcoin, a one-way hash like the SHA-256 hash shown above is very important and is used a lot. In our explanation, instead of using the SHA-256 hash to make the idea easier to understand, we will use a simple one-way formula or hash, which we have made up so you can see how the one-way aspect might work. We will call this hash the MU hash. Made up hash. Our example MU hash equals 1. Take the first set of numbers, then 2. Multiply this by 314,159,2654. Then 3. Remove the first 5 numbers from the result. And then 4. Repeat this process 1,000 times. And then after this is done, 5. Only show the first 10 numbers and remove all the other numbers. To simplify this further so that this can actually be done in an example, we will replace 4. Repeat this process 1,000 times with 4. Repeat this process 1 time. Okay, so to summarize part 1, the computer wallet program creates random number, then creates Bitcoin private key, then uses one-way hash to create Bitcoin public address. Okay, so now we can start our example. Start with Bitcoin private key equals 16503429 and so on. Then hash this private key with our MU hash equals 1 and 2. 16503429 and so on times 314,159,26 and so on equals 51847,051 and so on. 3. 51847,051 and so on. Remove first 5 numbers. Equals 05198576 and so on. Take note that it is possible for zeros to be in the front of the number, and that it is rarer for these resulting numbers to have many consecutive zeros in front of it. 4. Repeat this process 1 time, equals 05198576 and so on, times 314,159,2654 equals 163,31810 and so on. Then remove first 5 numbers, equals 81049,407. 5. Only show first 10 numbers and remove all the other numbers, equals 81049,40784 equals Bitcoin public address. So we are left with Bitcoin private key equals 165034292 and so on, and Bitcoin public address equals 81049,40784. Every single time we do this one-way MU hash on the same original Bitcoin private key, we will get the same Bitcoin public address. And looking only at the Bitcoin public address, it is impossible to calculate or guess what the original Bitcoin private key was. For our simple example, though, with the MU hash, a powerful computer organization might be able to guess or calculate our Bitcoin private key through random guessing, because our numbers are fairly small. But for the real Bitcoin private key, this would be impossible to do. At its simplest level, this is how Bitcoin public addresses and Bitcoin private keys work. If you know the Bitcoin private key, you can always prove to the network that you own the Bitcoin public address, which contains the Bitcoins, and the network will always let you move the Bitcoins even though they don't know who you are. You can see now how anyone on the planet can, in the safety of their own homes, create their own Bitcoin public addresses to give to people in order to receive and send Bitcoins from. This is part of what makes Bitcoin a decentralized digital currency that allows anyone to take part in and which is hard to restrict or ban.